Howdy, folks. Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully, this one won't be too controversial. Now, to the side of me, you can see there's an example of the hero's journey, which at its core is, in fact, the male journey. And there'll be a lot of people out there, researchers, content creators, they could probably do a better job at explaining the ins and outs of the hero's journey than I could. But just bear with me for now, will you? This diagram here, it's pretty similar to what you will see online. I mean, you feel free to take a screenshot of this one or just go on the internet and search up hero's journey and something like this will pop up. But today, what we're going to talk about is women, the ladies. That's right, the heroine's journey, the female journey, which for the most has been subverted and dismantled by women themselves, ironically. It's crazy. And that's probably why we don't really talk about it that much these days. And look, of course, women go through a life journey of their own. Of course they do. But it's different to what men go through. Surprise, surprise, men and women are different. I know, I know. Now, feminism, for the longest time, has been telling women to fight their own nature. It's created this rhetoric that men and women are the same. And of course, corporations, the government, mainstream media, they've jumped on board with that as well. They haven't helped. It's complete nonsense. But due to the continued brainwashing and pushing of wokeness, women have just thrown away their own journey and instead have decided to try and adapt the male hero's journey. Yeah, there's a little saying out there that women are born with value, men must earn their value. And that's important to know because the cycle of the hero's journey is about men continuously needing to earn and get value. You know this if you're listening to this as a guy. There's always been a burden of performance on our shoulders, from when we're young till today, till the day we perish. It'll always be there. I mean, every failure we have is met with punishment. Every success we've had to sacrifice for. Now, I'm not saying that women don't have difficult times. Of course they do. They really do. It's no less important than men. I mean, let's be honest. The female journey is just as important as the male journey. They complement each other. That's what they're meant to do. And there's going to be times, very, very, very small percentage of times, where they will overlap. Now, if I can give an example of, when they have overlapped, for Hollywood's sake, that is, in bygone era, we had, Ripley and Sarah Connor. Now, these women, these ladies, they could kick ass, but they also maintained their feminine side. They were still caring, nurturing. They worked with the men around them. They supported people around them. And what happened with these characters? Well, they became legends. So, what I've done is I've created a little version of what I think is the traditional female journey. Let's have a look at it, shall we? And there we are. This is from like my own observations in the past, my own experiences I've had with chatting to ladies. When I was younger, like 20 years ago, I used to volunteer at retirement homes and I would chat with the oldies. Now, the fellas, they had some interesting stories, but the ladies, the older ladies, they also had fantastic, interesting stories. And no BS, the things on this diagram that you're looking at, these were the things that were the most important to them. These were the stages they went through. This is what they talked about, obviously in more depth, but they were proud to talk about these things, about supporting their family, about looking for someone good, keeping their virtues in place, marriage, becoming a mum, and then becoming a grandparent, all the things they've done through their life. They were so proud of it. And I personally don't think there's anything offensive here on this diagram. It looks completely natural to me. Yet, for most modern women, if they see this or if they hear people talk about something like this, they lose their damn minds. They'll call you all kinds of names. They see this kind of traditional female journey as boring or oppressive, which it's not. But you try tell them that. It's crazy, right? It's completely crazy they think that way. So, what women have tried to do is they've tried to adapt the male journey, the male hero's journey, thinking it's more fun, thinking it's all just fun and games. Women don't think like men. They don't have the same hardships as us. They have their own hardships. But what women do is when they see the hero's journey, they just see the end points. They just see the winner. So what they do for the hero's journey when they try to adapt it is they just cut a whole bunch of stuff out. So let's have a look at what the modern woman's version of the hero's journey looks like. And there you have it. What a mess. What an absolute mess. Now, I'm not going to touch over all these points here, but let's start with the first point of the hero's journey that should be there is the call to adventure. Now, this is basically a trigger point or some event that pushes you out the door to face the world on your own. Problem is, women don't actually have that. They don't have that. I'm sorry. Well, it could be like 0.0000 whatever 1%, a very low percentage of women that is actually forced out of the comfort of home and safety. Yeah, I mean, it's very low. So for a woman, it's really just a matter of choice if she wants to go on an adventure or not. And she can exit the adventure whenever she wants. Unlike men, we have to keep moving. We got to get moving, or that's the end of us. Yeah, girls, women, I'm sorry, but they are protected. In general, they won't be forced out should the time come. It'll be their choice to go and their choice to come back whenever. Now, I might move past some of the steps here and there. Um, the traditional heroine's journey has been thrown out, as I said. So women are picking and choosing parts of the hero's journey they want. So something like trials and tribulations, or trials and failures. Under the traditional female journey, yes, women have their own, ups and downs, but that would usually come, at times of, courtship, marriage, children, things like that. Feminism, of course, is opposed to all that stuff. So we just got to cross it out here. That's it. Yeah. The funny thing is, women see themselves as perfect in most situations, which causes a problem for the hero's journey. So if we move on to something like growth, for instance, growth comes from learning from your mistakes, which is linked to previous steps. But since women portray themselves as perfect, there is no room for growth. She is already the best at everything. You've probably heard the term Mary Sue. Here you are, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it really comes from. Now, if we move to something like loss and rebirth, everyone goes through this. Male, female, we all go through this. However, for the sake of the hero's journey, it requires the person to have gone through the previous steps. But since the previous steps have been ignored, we can ignore this. Now, next points, you've got, revelation and atonement. But once again, women see themselves as perfect, so these will not apply at all. What really matters to women, though? Now, look, I've got it there in bold. Rewards. Yes, that's what really matters to women when it comes to the hero's journey. That's right. They don't see, the hardships men go through, the sacrifices. They don't see that. All they want is the reward. They want to be at the finish line. They want the gold around their neck, the winner. They want to be the winner. And look, like I mentioned, with women borrowing, with modern women, sorry, borrowing parts of the hero's journey instead of the whole thing. When it comes to writers and people creating these female characters in today's day, we know it's terrible. We fucking know it's shit. We see the Mary Sue come out. Now, no one can relate to this. And I've even noticed that women don't like these characters. When they try and do the gender swaps or have payoffs without anything being earned, it sucks. It really does. Women are not stupid. They know full well that they're being pandered to. I genuinely believe that if Hollywood started making films for women that highlighted the traditional heroine's journey, more women will start gravitating towards it, meaning more women will go and watch it, meaning more sales at the box office or wherever. And as a bonus, men can go and see these films and not feel talked down to. We could actually perhaps get some, better understanding and have more empathy. It's crazy, man. The entertainment industry has got it so wrong when it comes to women for the longest time. I know, hey, I know this one was a bit long-winded, guys. Hopefully not too controversial for you, but I think it's worth, highlighting. And if you liked any of the, diagrams I've done, just screenshot them, do whatever you want with them. I really think, this is important that Hollywood change their tune. I really do. Enough of the woke liberal nonsense. I know the word woke. Some people are saying we shouldn't be using it anymore. I heard what is a content creator, a podcaster say that we shouldn't be using the term woke, that it's a dead term. No, we did that once before where we stopped talking about SJW, if you guys remember that, social justice warriors. We stopped talking about that because we didn't know. And then those fools ended up taking over the word woke. We had an opportunity to stamp it really out. I say we just carry on. If things are woke, they're woke. And until it dies off, we don't stop calling it woke. Appreciate you all listening today. Till next time, peace out.